down to
Does
the
he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening and welcome to the Triple Bypass Round 3 live from Iowa Speedway. I am James Barfoot, going to be joined in the booth by Kenton Sportat this evening as we take you on a journey around the wonderful Iowa Speedway. Broke ground on the 21st of June 2005 and it opened in the 15th of September 2006 at a cost, mind you, of nearly $70 million. Pocket change there as well. But yeah, absolutely unbelievable circuit. And I think we can bring my man with all the knowledge into the booth, Mr. Kenton Sportek. Good evening, Kenton. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's looking like a lot of fun, and anytime you get to race under the bright lights is always a great time.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to be in for an absolutely barnstorming race here this evening. I cannot wait for this. We've got 17 cars on track. Of course, we are on round 3. What we will be able to do is bring you up the current scores at this moment in time as we go here. So this is the current score on the doors after 2 events. Zach Roethlisberger is in first with 96 points. Carl Griezak on 84 there. Zachary Doust on 80. Al Corey on 73. Dustin Barton on 72 with Jason Benson on 72. Matthew Peruzini on 71. Joshua Cornier on 70. Then we've got Justin Bentley on 68 with Misak Keshkin on 68. Excuse me if I've said your name completely wrong there. In 9th place. And then Ben Harcum on 64. Patrick Dalbenberger on 63. John Crutchley on 53. Clayton Cantrell on 41. Ryan Traver on in 15th on 36. Alex Goff on 35. John Campbell 34. Tied with Brian Cooper. Doyle Rudolph on 32, Mark Herzog on 31, David Fell on 30 with Owen Wessel on 29 and Christian Loskin on 27 points. So that is the current scores on the doors here this evening as well. And of course we are going into race 3. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm sure there's going to be no issues whatsoever over the next 145 laps. Kenton, is that right?
Yeah, not a single one. I can almost not guarantee it at all. It will be. I think it'll be a pretty clean race. The track has a pretty solid spacing to it. It's not super narrow. Incidences are going to be a little bit easier to avoid with that. However, for the most part, the infield is not very big. There's not a lot of space coming around the corners before you kind of meet the wall there, and same with the straightaways. And then with that kind of progressive banking on the turns of going from 12 degrees to 14 degrees near the top, you have a little higher chance of, if you do kind of get a little squirrely and are trying to brake, of sliding sort of downhill, which can cause a little bit of problems. But like I said, a little more space so you can kind of slip your way through it and hopefully not get tied up in anyone's issues.
Okay, well, hopefully that should be the case. So we've got 145 laps, as we mentioned, 3 sets of tyres, 1 fast repair, and they reckon fuel should last about 70 laps. Zach Roethlisberger won both previous races at Daytona and Michigan. The drivers here are allowed 1 drop week. So there we go. And hopefully it should be all good. And hopefully they won't hit the 32x limit of a DQ, because 32 is quite a lot. But then again, I suppose when we're doing 145 laps, possibly not. But we'll just have to see how it goes and see how they get on here this evening. I'm looking forward to this one. Hope you are well. J2SR for sure. These are great guys to race with. I'm sure we will find out and see how they get on here this evening. And hopefully They should do an absolute stellar job, and we should see some great racing in this Gen 4 car. What can you tell me about the Gen 4 car, Kenan? Is new, it's there. What's the situation with it?
So it's kind of an interesting car in itself. So it's very similar to the ARCA. If you haven't seen it, the ARCA cars, it will look identical. They are planning to update the actual aspects of how the car looks, but the biggest difference is it will have a higher horsepower compared to the ARCA car. So a little more oomph to it. It's using a V8 engine with 725 horsepower, so it's got a pretty good get up and go, but does add a little bit of that more challenging aspect. A little more power doesn't always mean, easy to control, so can kind of throw you off if you get a little too on the throttle and put too much power into the back tires too quickly. It can kind of send you for a little bit of a spin. Was a lot more known of the era of around, I'd say, like Rusty Wallace. I know his Bubba Wallace is now in the current models, but yeah, Rusty Wallace. You had some Stewart, Martin, Jarrett. Pretty good combination of people. But it was a very interesting car that used around 2007. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a big step up from the ARCA, but does provide a lot of entertaining drive to it as well.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things when I was going out fact-finding earlier on, and there's all sorts of different facts about the car itself. The Gen 4 cars, they're saying it made a debut in the early 1990s, through the NASCAR boom of the late 1990s, early 2000s, apparently leading Jeff Gordon to all 4 of his championships, and both Dale Earnhardt and Jimmy Johnson to some of their 7. Earnhardt to his last in 1994, and Johnson to his first in 2006. So there we go. Yeah,
it was, I wish they would, alter it up a little bit, because I believe it's the Chevy Impala is the one we get, like just the base one. I like myself a Dodge, and they did have a Dodge Gen 4 car, so it would have been pretty nice to see, but, or even the Ford Thunderbird back in the day. Doesn't love a good old Ford Thunderbird.
Ooh, now you're talking. Now, it has been told to me that these cars are super loose around this circuit. Now, but Ken, we were discussing lines beforehand, weren't we, about which is going to be the best one. You've done some research. Tell us about the lines that we're looking at. And let's see, we'll jump in the cockpit here on board with Sid Kashishian. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Sid, if that's wrong, just hit me up and let me know. Okay, as we do that, anyone? There we go. Dustin Barn is currently going round.
For sure. So basically there's 2 different real main lines you can kind of follow here. So this high line is that he's currently in. Does work. It's a little sketchy because, again, that increased banking kind of up there, you do have to moderate the throttle just a little bit more. But if you're looking for the race lines, you do kind of want to stick above. So there's right about where he is just crossed over, that second seam down. If you're able to kind of use that line to split your car in half, and you kind of stick along that, you're minimizing how much of an input you have to put into the steering wheel, which then allows you to really utilize your tires a little bit longer. But if you're really trying to push for position, dropping down to kind of the next seam sort of thing and splitting that one, going straight down to the line in terms, I think it's a yellow line here. Yeah, going straight down to the yellow line can get a little dicey, as it's a little more loose down there, I find. But it still is usable, but I'd say probably better to kind of stay away from it as best you can. Just that way you're not getting tangled up with anything too slippery there. You just want to kind of avoid that if you can there. So yeah, if you're trying to save tires, which only having 4 total sets of tires, start with including the one they're starting on, you're going to want to save tires for a good chunk. You're not going to want to push too hard, going down too low too often. Obviously, qualifying, you're always going to try and take as minimal of a line as you can, but to save some tires, you're going to want to stick a little higher.
All right. Well, there we go. All the all the knowledge, and let's see what happens here as we get on board with David Fate there as he's going round. He's on lap 2, of course, of qualifying before we go into the grid for this race. 17 cars on track currently at the moment, and it should be an absolute barnstorming evening of racing, one that I cannot wait for. So stay tuned and enjoy. Basically, get a drink, get some popcorn, sit back, relax, and enjoy some wonderful Gen 4 racing around Iowa, because it is going to be absolutely incredible, I'm sure. What do we think is going to happen here? Because, you know, when you put 17 cars on a circuit of Iowa, anything can happen. You know, what am I generally expecting here this evening?
I mean, I'd say it's probably going to fall kind of into that single file for the most part. Like I say, you can run a little lower, but you got to run that risk of, you know, burning out your front right, especially on here. And once you start doing that, you'll notice a car starting to kind of drift up a little higher, and you start getting a lot looser and sort of heading towards that outside wall, and being in the wall, not really where you want to be. So I can see it going a lot more in that single file for the most part, unless guys are trying to make a pass and quickly get a little extra space and things like that. So I'd say single file, the odd time someone's separating out.
Right, okay, no worries. Okay. Right, here we go. Here will be the grid. Hopefully very, very shortly I'll be able to bring the grid up on your screen. And hopefully you will see that. Everything works as it's supposed to, which at the moment it's deciding it doesn't want to. Wonderful. So just to bear with here currently at this moment in time as we tell you the grid. Mark Herzog is in pole, Ben Harcum second, Matt Perizzini third, Adam Schoen fourth, Al Corey fifth, Dakota Floyd in sixth, Zachary Doust in seventh, Ryan Traver in eighth, Sid Kashishian in ninth, Dustin Barton 10th, David Fate 11th, John Campbell 12th, Jason Benson 13th, Justin Bentley 14th, John Crutchley 15th, Joshua Comer 16th, and James Lawson in 17th place. So there we go. Hopefully this will sort itself out, and we will be able to bring you up the grid as it decides it doesn't want to. Wonderful. Right. Just bear with me. To start my wonderful live timing. Here. Okay. Right. Okay, lights are out on the pace car. Be one lap to green, and hopefully we should be good to go, Kenan. So there we go. Are we all ready?
I think so. It looks like we're pace car should be off pretty quick here.
Okay, just bear with. There's the grid. Could have done with that a minute ago. Right. So we will, as you see from the timing tower on the left-hand side, hopefully it is all working correctly. We're into the Geico restart zone now, And away we go. We are going to be under green currently at the moment, and it's Mark Herzog in the front of the grid. Ben Harcum second, Matt Perosini third, Adam Schoen fourth, Al Corey fifth, and Dakota Floyd in sixth place. Ryan Traver has just made the place up into seventh currently at the moment, and Dustin Barton also moved up one with Justin Benson and James Lawson. It looks like he's not on the grid. Everybody got away cleanly so far, Kevin.
Yeah, it was very clean getaway. Herzog definitely got himself a nice little jump there. He's kind of holding into that kind of sort of tire-saving-ish line. Looks like Harcum is trying to make a little bit of a move by going a little lower, a little more shallow on those corners, just trying to keep as much momentum as he can. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's risk-reward. You can get a couple faster laps and stuff like that, but then you got to concern yourself with, okay, how are these tires going to work? Knowing these guys, they probably have done a few practice laps just to get kind of familiar with how it's going to feel and how the tires wear, but you're definitely going to not want to stick that line too long.
Yeah, definitely there as well. Zachary Dowse from here in the number 71 car, of course. Battling away quite nicely at the moment. He's got Al Corey in front of him in the 45 car up front, and Mark Herzog and Ben Harcum are looking at opening a gap. What do we think on draft on this car? Because we talk about draft quite a lot when we're doing ovals. What's the situation here with the Gen 4 cars compared to the modern day NASCARs that we've got now?
So the air that comes off these cars is a little dirtier, and if you don't know what dirty air does, it's just, it's that disrupted air that kind of affects how a car's aerodynamics work. And you can kind of see how these cars do, and especially if you look at them directly on, they sort of have a weird lean to them. They almost look like they're off-center, and that's largely due to, the era and stuff. The newer things, they're a lot straighter. There's less of that kind of awkward side lean. And basically what that allows it to do is create more downforce on one specific side, and increase how easy it is for them to turn left around these corners, trying to help them kind of be able to pull that off. Now, drafting can disrupt that a little bit if you're really up close and really in the slipstream sort of end of things, or kind of right on their bumper, sort of like this. This isn't bad. You're not going to get too much disrupted air that the car behind that Harcum will be really feeling, because he's up nice and close. I mean, he needs to stay a little more in line to get a little more of that draft, but you definitely can utilize the draft pretty well in these cars. It's not going to be, I don't think, as massive of a gain as the next gen cars are, but they are definitely knowing how to utilize as much of the draft as they can for the era.
Right, okay, so no worries there as well. Douglas Bramble in chat. Let's go. Laurie Harcum, go 78. I'm going to presume you are the wife of Ben Harcum, unless you tell me that you're your sister, and then I am deeply sorry for my comment on that one as well. But hopefully I will get that one correct. I'm normally pretty good when it comes to family trees, as we found out from other series that we do. We had the whole family in the other day, didn't we, for one Mr. Terry Spainhour for the BSC.
Yeah, I think it was all the way to the grandparents.
Yeah. Which was quite scary, really.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
But there we go. That shows the support for the drivers as well. Don't forget, we have got Jason. I've got Jenson Button in my head here. Come on, Jason Benson here as well. And we've got the 16 car on our right hand side. That's Justin Bentley and David Feet in the 11, of course, battling away quite nicely down the field. Currently in 10th, 11th, and 12th place. So that should be an interesting one as these guys start shooting around this racetrack here as well. Talked about fuel earlier on. 70 laps. Do we think we're near enough, right?
It should be pretty close to it. I know it's always hard to judge 100% because you're going to save fuel. If you're in a draft, you're obviously not putting as much power down the whole time, and you're getting a little more distance per lap, lap of fuel, basically. So it does help extend that fuel stint a little bit. Obviously, if you're spinning, that's going to cost a little more fuel to be used. Or if you're, not lifting and coasting, going into the corners, and that's going to be a big thing that'll also help save with tires. Going directly into the corner, if you lift and coast a little more, you're going to save a little more gas. You're going to save a little more on your tires, not burn them out quite as quick. So can go a little bit longer. And I mean, it's going to come down to strategically on how they want to utilize their tires. If you're wanting and fuel, if you're really wanting to push long, you kind of have to hope there's not a ton of cautions. If you're hoping to push a little harder, you want to hope for caution. So it's kind of, you got to play it on how the race is going and kind of how well you know the guys around you in terms of how they're going to drive.
Yeah, I think that's always the interesting thing when we talk about ovals and we talk about tyre wear and we talk about lifting and coasting and braking and not braking and rolling, and there's just so many attributes involved in NASCAR itself. You know, obviously being from the UK, we sit back and think, you only turn left, that's it. You know, we got Formula One thrust at us constantly, and then we got the BTC touring cars that is literally just, well, it's just manic, to be fair at times. What are we doing here though? Because primarily, you know, are we braking or are we lifting and coasting? What's the situation going around Iowa?
So for this track, you don't need to brake. And when I say you don't need to brake, if you adjusted your brake bias on these cars a little bit, and I can't remember exactly the best quotes best space to put your brake bias to, but you can actually utilize a little bit of the brake to get your car to rotate just a smidge. To kind of help you get into these corners, because a big thing with these, you don't want to apex too late on them, but you don't apex early by any means. You're kind of aiming for a late middle apex to try and utilize. So using a little bit of brake can actually help you get through there. You do run the risk of, if you brake a little too much, you can lose some speed. But if you're just kind of doing a light brush of the brakes there, it helps get the nose of the car turned just a little bit, helps get you a little loose but on purpose, so it's a little more under control, and it allows you to get actually on the throttle a little quicker, which you also can be a little bit straighter coming out of the corner, and then, you know, use less of the tire wear, so you cause a little less of it. So if you really know how to utilize the braking, you can brake. For the most part though, most people will just lift and coast going through the corner and just use the car itself. So kind of depends how you want to run it, and what you're comfortable with, and how well you have control of that car there.
So there's a lot involved to turning left round a racetrack with banking and four turns here. Perezzini is currently flying though. He got a nice straight run, currently out of 3, that set him up for this lap, and he's pulled himself alongside Ben Harcum here and currently trying to get onto the back of Mark Herzog. It's going to be a difficult one, isn't it, really? Because Herzog seems quite controlled. He's running that sort of medium to high line that we were talking about earlier on, that probably would be the best line to run. And he seems to be sort of a little bit more under control, where if we look back at Ben Harcum, he's a little bit more up and down the track. He's using the middle line, the outer line. He's trying to use the draft as best he can. What would you be doing currently sat here if you're only on lap 21 of 145?
For me, I would want to be where Herzog is. If you're up front like that, and he has a little bit of a gap now, it's less than half a second, but in ovals, it's quite a significant gap there. And basically, he's just now run it, keep it smooth, and you don't have to worry about it. The unfortunate thing for Harcum is he's got Persini. He's got Persini right on his tail, so he's got to play a little more defense to try and keep him behind. Now you got to figure out for yourself, if I'm Harcum, like, okay, he's trying to push it, if you want to let him go and allow him to kind of burn out his tires, or if you want to actually play defense and keep that positioning. So it's kind of a risk and reward that you kind of have to play with yourself and figure out, all right, this is the best option for what I'm hoping to do in this race. I mean, 145 laps it's not short. Your first really 2 stints almost of fuel, or at minimum your first full stint, you're not going to win the race or lose the race really in that, unless obviously there's a collision and crash and you have damage, things like that. But if you stay pretty solid, we've seen in oval racing, someone who's in dead last can end up right up near the front very quickly just because of a couple of crashes. So it all depends what kind of strategy you want to go for, and what you're hoping to really do with your car.
Well, Perezzini here is hoping to do quite a lot by the looks of it with his car. The Canadian, of course, is sitting in 3rd place. It does look a little bit more quicker than Ben Harcum, I'm not going to lie. And that isn't any disrespect to Ben, because let's be real, anybody would be quicker than me around this circuit. But I'm just wondering whether or not it's worth Harkham actually just letting him run that low line and taking that position away and then follow him along, would you say? Because we were talking earlier on and you said the low line is a bit more tyre burning than it is running the outside where Ben currently is at the moment.
Yeah, like if I'm Ben, it's like at this point I would just let him go. Like he's pushing, he's trying to really get that spot ahead of you. Use him for a draft. Stick on him. If he wants to keep running that really low line, he's gonna, his tires are gonna eventually burn out and he's gonna start losing time. Now, obviously, you're hoping a little bit more that there's no caution in the next little while, and that it's all going to be green flag pit stops, which are a little interesting on this track. But you're going to have to really decide, okay, yeah, it's best that I let him go and just kind of sit behind him and try and reel him in when his tires start going. And I'm going to focus on saving my tires and push near the end of the stint. So kind of depends on which version of a stint you want to do, is make a big gap and then kind of hope you can hold on, or lay back and reel him in near the end. So just depends on what feels comfortable for you.
Yeah, with no stages, of course, in this series. It is a straight run to 145, so unless any major dramas happen, currently at the moment we will be running green and under green flag pit stops, which, as we know, 23-second stop. What are you going to be, a lap down?
That's a 23-second stop. That's not including entrance and exit time. So you probably will be at least one, depending how quickly you get in. If you throw anything off, if everything goes perfect, you'd probably be about a lap and a half down, maybe two. If you overshoot your pit stop, definitely looking at two laps for sure. So you definitely want to be accurate with it. And then this is going to bring in the whole, okay, do you pit with the entire group? Do you pit a little early? Do you pit a little late? It's a lot of factors come into even just pitting in oval racing, especially under green.
Yeah, Ryan Traver here, the number 3 car, of course. Currently sitting down in 6th place. He's just gone past Zachary, who is tucked up literally right behind him currently at this moment in time as well. He's not going to want to lose as much time as he possibly can. The interesting thing for me is that the natural slide of these cars. Now, we were talking earlier on, and you can just see the cars naturally sort of almost wanting to go to the right and getting turned left against their will almost. It's like they just really don't want to go that way. And you can just see them sort of arcing to the right, almost as if that's the way they want to go, and we've seen that over the years within NASCAR as well. And we've seen a lot where they change of rules, where there was so much lean and the back end was just literally coming round. It was just unbelievably ridiculous, that led to a rule change that you could only have a certain amount of degrees and stuff. What is it with these cars? Why is that natural sort of almost right looking car wanting to turn left?
So usually what it has to do with is, again, a little more of that downforce. So you're creating as much kind of pull to sort of help the car. So as odd as it seems, having that weird sort of right lean actually can help it turn left a little smoother, even though it looks like it's trying to drift the corner. Having that rear end look almost like it's mostly the body work, to be entirely honest. Like the tires are very lean, like even, but when you look at the car from behind, it's like the body work and the way it utilizes its aerodynamics is to help create sort of a pressure on the front left tire to sort of help it dig in, to gain a little extra traction, to be able to turn left in a smoother way. Ooh, as those two get a little close there. But yeah, it's to kind of help it almost force that left tire to dig in a little more, so that it's able to really pull the car to the left as it goes around those tight corners and with that banking and everything.
Yeah. Yep. There we go. Told you, Kenton knows everything. If there's anything you want to ask, just let me know. Type it in chat, and we'll get Kenton to ask it for you, because he is a man of knowledge there as well. And I do remember I was watching. What was I watching? I was watching a program that was running through NASCAR over the years, and it got to the point where some of these cars were so set on their angles that they were actually literally near enough going round the corner so drastically it actually led to a rule change that people were complaining to them about it, because obviously it just wasn't a natural look of a car where they were kind of sort of, well, the right almost was off center to the front.
Yeah, and it's I know the big thing they're really pushing for, especially with the next gen cars, is they're meant to be a stock car. Obviously, a very souped up stock car,
yeah.
But they kind of got away from looking like stock cars, and that was one of the big things they really stressed with the I think they're on it's the Gen 7 car now is the next gen car, but it's, if you look really at, you know, the Chevy Camaro, the Ford Mustangs, or the Toyota Camry, they look very, very similar. Obviously, there's a little extra with the wings and you know, the adding of the fin on the almost shark fin on the left side of the car and things like that. But for the most part, the bodywork looks very similar, at least enough that you know what car it is pretty easily. So, whereas with the kind of the way that they started going with cars for a good chunk of time, especially around, say, Gen 3, Gen 4, little into the Gen 5 as well, they lost the stock aspect of their cars. So I know that was a big thing they really have been stressing in the newer things, just trying to get it looking more to its roots, that stock feel.
I'm just looking at the Gen 7 cars now, to be fair. As you say, it's a difficult one from obviously most people's perspective of the Gen 7s. Don't get me wrong, they look sleek and they look, you know, gorgeous, and you sit back and think, yeah, put me in one. But you know, they're probably not as easy to drive as they look at the moment, and I think that's the difference, isn't it, over the years, how NASCAR has developed, how the change has developed as well. We've just seen Al Corey go round past Ben Harkham here. Ben must be having a little bit of trouble at the moment. It looks like maybe his tyres are starting to drift away. He's been up on that high line though, which was normally the better line. But Al Corey and Adam Schoen here, looks like they are catching Ben, and Ben seems to be going backwards more than he's going forwards currently at the moment. Last lap time 25.23 compared to 24.99 of Herzog, 25.02, 25.13 and a 24.87 from Adam Schoen. So slight little worry at the moment for Ben.
A little bit. I think it came down to just the battle he had earlier on in the race, and that kind of causing him to, I think, burn a little more than he was expecting the tires to kind of go. Yes, he stayed a little higher, but I've also seen a couple of wall rubs, and that's always going to slow you down just a little bit. He is having a pretty solid duel with Corey, as Corey is on that inside line there, which can obviously lead to a few interesting times way down there if he starts burning those tires. And I think you're going to have to almost change tires before you're going to have to really worry about fuel in these guys, with how everything's been going. The downside and the concern too is going to be coming into about this corner. If you don't get down actually early enough, there is a couple of bumps coming out of into turn one there that can kind of unsettle the car and leave you having to do a little bit of a understeer fix and things like that. And once you start doing that, it still burns your tires as they get a little close there. Yeah, Adam Sean and Harkham getting a little close to each other, but yeah, you definitely want to sort of stick to that higher line unless someone's trying to get by you, and then you got to decide what kind of stint you're hoping to have.
Yeah, I think from Harkham's point of view now, I don't think he's run the high line. He's been up on the high line for pretty much the majority of the last 46 laps. He doesn't seem to be really moving away from that high middle line that we were talking about earlier on. I don't know though if I'd want to be dropping down unless he feels that comfortable on what he's doing, I guess, currently at the moment. But at the same time, that high line seems to be working for him. So I think from his point of view, I'd probably would have stayed on that, to be honest.
I mean, I would have, but again, it depends on what his tires are feeling, and a couple small adjustments to how his car's feeling, he might be trying to now adjust for that. So it's always hard to necessarily say exactly how it, we can say how it looks like the car feels, but if he's going to have to read into it a little more and see how the car's reacting going into and out of corners and stuff like that. So
yeah, it definitely will be there as well. It's going to be an interesting remainder as we're coming into lap 49. nearly lap 50 already here this evening. So it's been an absolutely great start so far. Nobody's sort of, putting themselves in a dangerous position that sits back and thinks, uh-oh, this could be an issue. Don't forget, all these cars are on a fixed setup. They do not have that ability to change on the setup, but they are on a fixed setup here as well. All the triple bypass series use fixed setups, which some will say that it keeps it fair for every single driver. I don't know. It's a bit hit and miss for me, I think, with the whole setups. I think some series prefer fixed, others prefer open so they can make changes. What do you sort of adhere to there, Ken, and what would you be looking at?
I personally prefer fixed because then it's more about who can drive the car, not so much who knows how to adjust a car. And to be entirely fair, most of the drivers themselves, they have 16 engineers in when it comes to real life for them to adjust the car for them. So I personally like the car being more fixed, so it just comes down to who can actually drive it, opposed to who can figure out, oh, this little tweak here makes me run this much faster. So as we got a couple people coming into the pits here.
Yeah, Dustin Barton, David Feet, and also Zachary here are in. So the first movers and shakers within the pit lane, is that what we're looking at then? We're going to be running around about 50 laps before we look at making a tire change, you think?
I think so. I mean, 50, I don't see them really trying to push past 60. You're going to really start feeling it on those tires about that point in time. And you don't want to take too much of an eat out because it's going to cut your time. And it makes it a little tougher. Obviously, you don't want to pit as a huge group. We've talked about that earlier, where the issue is if you go in with a whole group, you're now having to slow down for the cars ahead of you, slowing down for the pit, so it takes you a little longer to get into the pit lane. Then you also run the risk of someone bumping you, there being, getting rear-ended and spinning out, and it just creates too many opportunities for an issue. So you kind of want to do it either earlier or later than the big group if you can. Obviously, if everyone goes in at separate times and there's no real big group, then it's just trying to sort of weigh the options of when you go in.
Yeah,
what would work for you?
Yeah, Harkin went in as well. He was fortunate enough; he did go in completely on his own. Now the thing is, we could sit here and we could discuss things about pit lane entry, pit lane exit, what you got to do, slowing down, being bumped, but we have physically seen it in series where a group of cars go into the pits and they all slow each other down. The guy that goes in 2 laps later goes in clean, just goes straight through, gets done, out the other side without a single bit of problem, and went on to win the race. How important is pit lane entry? Because some people just see it as you're driving into the pits, right? You whack your pit lane limiter on, but we're also aware that that's not true either, because some of these cars don't have pit lane limiters, do they?
Yeah, I don't think any of the NASCAR ones. I know the next gen for sure doesn't. I don't remember the ARCA, so I don't think the Gen 4 has that pit limiter. So you do have to be a little more careful with it. There are ways to kind of skirt it a little bit. You get up to that 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour higher and then back off real quick, and you can skirt the penalty that way. But you do run a risk going in with that big group. Like I said, you have the one guy, 2-3 guys ahead of you going in at the same time. Well, the guy in first now has to slow down, but the guy behind him has to slow a little bit earlier so he doesn't hit the guy ahead of him, and then the guy in third has to slow down even earlier, and then it kind of cascades its way back. And then if you go in beside each other, now you got to run the risk of, okay, well, say the outside guy has a pit lane or pit box before the guy on the inside line. Well, now you have to either slow down or speed up, and you can't really speed up on pit lane, so it can create a whole other problem there, and then you get spun, and there's just too many issues you have to deal with if you try and jump into the pits as a big group.
Yeah, I think that's where it was, wasn't it? There's just so many issues. You've just got to be fully aware of what's going on and your surroundings around you. Now, as you can see, Zachary down in car number 71 there has dropped down. Is been dropped down to about 3 laps back, and that may have something to do with the 1:29 pit lane time when everybody else has been around 48 to 50 seconds. We are only talking 23 second laps here. So either Zach's picked up a penalty in the process of speeding in pit lane, or there was an error on his part somewhere along the line. The fact that he was in there and is now 3 laps down, because that is a massive gap to be losing.
Yeah, definitely not the most ideal, and I mean, yeah, it could definitely be something as simple as, yeah, just speeding in the pit lane and getting himself a black flag and having to wait, or he just had a little more damage on the outside quarter panel and wanted to really get it optional repairs sort of fixed sort of thing, just for the long run, because I mean, he's still, like, he's running faster laps. I mean, his last one, 24:19. I think the closest to him is 24:97. So he's running, or 24:85 there. But like, he's running really fast laps. Him and Harcum. So, you know, that little extra bit that he took to get something fixed might have created a little smoother aero ride and kind of allow him to get a little more speed underway and behind him there.
Yeah, of course, Ben Harcum there now down in 12th place. He has lost 10, but don't forget he has been into the pits where pretty much he was the first one. Matt Perezzini is now in as well, so Harcum can come round and get his lap back, and hopefully should be now near enough beat back up the lead lap. Dakota Floyd is also in the pits at the same time. So this is going to be interesting for Harcum, is whether or not he's going to be able to get out before Perezzini does, or is he not? That's going to be the question. Harcum is coming off around turn 4 currently at the moment. Perezzini has just stopped. So from Harcum's point of view, he has just jumped them both. So there we go. Harcum has jumped Perezzini and Floyd. So for him, that's not a bad not a bad pit lane section overall, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it worked out for him for sure, and being able to get himself back up ahead, and now you don't have to really worry because they're going to have a little bit of colder tires, so they're not going to be able to throw down a big lap right away, so you can kind of build a little more of a gap as well. But obviously your first, I think it's the first 8, or the top 8 haven't pit yet, so they still have a pretty good chunk that he's going to be able to make up fairly quickly, especially running the times he's been running so far. So as long as he keeps it smooth and under control, he could put himself in a really good position here to get back out with less issues. And it looks like Floyd actually might have had a little bit of an issue because it seems he's now 2 laps down instead of just the 1. But not sure if he just took a little bit longer or had an issue on pit lane. But no, he had a pretty smooth pit stop. So I'm not sure what caused him to take that little longer. Or drop down a little bit. Might have just been poor, unfortunate timing that P1 happened to go by him right as he was coming out, sort of thing. But it's yeah, being down a lap right now, everyone's so far gonna have to do a green flag stop, and you should get it back fairly quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? We watched some in practice, and you know, there was the odd people spinning, whether or not they were just pushing to see how far they can go. But overall, I think they've done a great job in the race here at the moment, because as I say, we're nearly at lap 70 and there's not been one caution. So fair play to these guys here, really, because from what you would see in practice, I thought we might have at least had 1 or 2 by now.
Yeah, they're keeping it real smooth and keeping clean, giving guys a lot of space, and that's kind of the nice thing about this track with how wide it is. You're not really right next to a guy. It's not, Daytona where it's 2 lanes, and if you go outside of those 2 lanes, you're in someone else at that point. So it's definitely good to see them using the entirety of the track to give each other space as they're trying to go by and kind of not create too many issues. That way it can stay green and they can keep flowing and hopefully keep that out of trouble.
Yeah, right, guys, we are going to take a short minute break while you guys enjoy cranking it up. Okay, guys, we are back now with live pictures. After that, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of Crank It Up, where you get to listen just to the cars here as they hurtle round Iowa. Now, there has been another cycle of pit stops, guys. The leaders have been into the pits. Ben Harcum has now taken the lead. He's got a 1.5 second gap over Matt Perezzini in second, with Mark Herzog is actually down in third now. So Harcum is out in front currently at the moment. He took his pit stop at what seems to be almost the right time.
Yeah, it's definitely worked out for him, getting in, getting out, doing it solo, and kind of not panicking about the fact that he was going to come out a lap down. And he's used it very much to his benefit. And Perezzini is, he's within about a second back, but Herzog is already 7.5 seconds behind him now. Like, that's a pretty significant group there, or gap there, that he's now able to work with and not really have to hurt himself too much. Because at the rate we're going, you're still going to have at least one more pit, if not a second one, depending on how these tires really work. Or if you're trying to save a set of tires in case there is a caution near the end, sort of thing. But you're definitely going to need at least another set of tires here and some fuel. But if you're able to really kind of nurse them, you can sort of make it work for you and hold a little more of a gap. Though unfortunately for Harcum, Herzog seems to be closing that gap a little bit. But if he keeps running well, he shouldn't have too many issues to worry about right away.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? We know Herzog's just come out on tires that are newer. Harcum went in on on lap 52. Herzog went on 72. So Harcum's driving around on 20-lap older tires than Herzog is. So his time generally is going to be around about the same, isn't it? They're going to be, Herzog is going to be quicker, and it's showing at the moment on the last lap time of a 23.8 compared to Harcum's 24.7. So, that's obviously a given when you're doing this sort of racing, isn't it? We're expecting these times, and I wouldn't really think it's going to be long before Herzog's on the back of Perezzini before he starts moving onto Harcum there as well. You can see them in the front. You can just see them battling away, coming closer together, and he's getting closer and closer as it goes on. Perezzini's up the road there, the second car in the picture, so he's not going to be too far away at all. But it's expected with the fact that his tyres are 20 laps younger than Harcum's in first, and 10 laps younger than Perezzini, who has just managed to take the lead.
Yeah, and if you're Harcum, like, okay, you take that into account. All right, they're 20 lap older than everybody else, or than third, and 10, 11 laps older than first now. But if he has his own pit strategy, which he obviously will, since they're racing each other, it's not like a team as if it's in Formula One where you've got two guys on the same team sort of racing each other, but mostly just racing to maximize points. Like, he's going to be really pushing just to keep himself in where he needs to be, and it's one of the things a lot of oval racers kind of get in their head, especially on this, is like, oh, okay, well, now he's passed me, I got to keep pushing, and then they end up completely burning their tires, slamming into the wall because they're now understeering and sliding up the wall and getting a little loose and things like that. And then instead of being able to kind of really hold their ground, they sort of get in their own head, and it causes them to lose out on positions, and they end up just completely losing it as it is. So he looks like he's holding on to himself, just staying within himself. He's not trying to force anything to sort of happen. He's just kind of allowing the race to go how he wants it to go for himself, and then kind of react from there.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He doesn't need to be really sort of pushing at the moment. We are on lap 84. We're going up to 145. It's 65 laps remaining here. Don't get me wrong. The fact that we were just talking during the Crank It Up section here, and we did sit back and go, we are both shocked and surprised that we've got to where we got to lap 70 without any cautions at all. I think from what we saw in practice is got to be a big props to these guys in this league driving this car.
Yeah, they definitely seem to know what they're doing, in a sense that they know how to push the car and when to push the car without really creating too much of an issue for themselves where they're over pushing the car. They're not trying to overdrive it. They're kind of keeping it within themselves and kind of utilizing, okay, I can go a little faster here, or I'm going to back off a little bit here and let this guy kind of take this spot, as it looks like Herzog is right up on Harcum now as he tries to get by. But just kind of knowing that you're on a different strategy than someone else's. I mean, like we said, Herzog is on 20-lap newer tires. He is going to be faster. But if you've laid out your tire strategy to be smoother, or in a different way, he's now hoping that Harcum's now hoping that nearing the end of the race, he's going to have the fresher tire and able to push a little faster.
Well, that's the philosophy, isn't it? That's what, should be what happens, right? The fresher tyres can move a little bit quicker, and it should be that way inclined, really, where the guys who are on the fresher tyres should be able to push faster. But as we've seen across theories with NASCAR, that anything can happen, and I think that's the uncertainty still. Even though we've still on lap 89, coming up to 55 laps remaining, it's still that uncertainty of what can happen and when it can happen as well. Because we know with iRacing, the triggering cautions is it's just hit and miss, isn't it? You slide at 1 minute and you're going sideways down into the bottom of the track and you don't get a caution, and then the next thing you're going sideways up into the wall and boom, there's a caution out and nothing's consistent. It's a little bit hit and miss, isn't it? And the fact that obviously these guys have got to lap 90 and we actually haven't seen one caution, I think is just so impressive currently at the moment.
For sure. And yeah, it obviously is going to come down to your race strategy is only your race strategy until it doesn't work. So yeah, you still have to, you almost need to make sure, and I mean, hopefully you're not having to pull the Ferrari in last season and going, plan L and plan R and stuff like that. Like, hopefully you're able to keep somewhat of a plan, but you do have to have kind of a contingency in place for anything. So you kind of have to go, okay, well, if it stays green, this is what I want to do. If there's a caution in sort of this time frame in terms of laps, like, all right, this is what my plan is. If there's a caution at this point, after that, like, say it goes green till this point, I've already had my first pit, and then there's this caution. So you kind of have to have a mental sort of game plan at all times about how you're going to change, how you're going to react to certain situations, and hope that it works out in your favor, that what you did plan actually was the correct sort of idea to go through.
Sid's lifted. He's even. There's no power. Listen, watch that rev limiter.
Oh yeah, he might be clutching in. It looks
Yeah,
like.
looks like he's clutching in and he's fuel saving every single turn, and he's just done it for the last 3 laps at every single turn, and that needle just plummets. Look, nothing.
Yeah, and that's definitely an option you can do. You just sit there and you really try and force the fuel saving by taking advantage of what your car is able to both stop doing and doing, whether that's clutching in, or I know I've seen in when I was watching some of the Coke series e-drivers, one of the guys during the safety car would straight up turn off his car. He had a button specifically to turn off the ignition, and he would turn it off so the car would cut completely just to save fuel, and then he would flick it back on, get it all started back up, and then start going. So it was like, I hadn't even thought of that. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I wouldn't have thought that they would be doing that, but clearly Sids has got a plan in his head here, as we're going to watch Herzog just about probably take the lead here soon as well. He's closed down his guys. Harcum's now back into third, 4.7 seconds back. Perezzini's in first. Herzog is in second there, car number 57. You see it on your screen currently at the moment. Again, that's not something we've seen. There's not been any races that I can think that we've covered that where they have been clutching in as much as Sid has been clutching in every single corner.
And it's a little more of an advanced sort of idea, because it does obviously really work, but it also is going to take a lot of your momentum and your speed away from you as well. When it's at least in gear, you're still getting a little bit of that power push through, so you're not losing as much, but at the same time you are burning a little bit of that fuel. So if you're able to if you know how to do it and you know how to utilize it for yourself, then it definitely can work. But if you don't know exactly how it's going to work, or You don't want to clutch in and get on the gas too quickly that it causes your back end to light up and get a little loose, as he just did there.
Yeah,
he managed to save it there. But like that kind of thing, obviously, like you want to do it, but you don't want to lose it because of it.
I think that's the thing from Sid's point of view here. He seems to know what he's doing as we are coming up to that 100 lap mark. And then we're down into the last 45 here this evening as well. I hope you've all been sitting back and enjoying the racing. We definitely think if they're only going, if Harcom's gone 53 by 106, technically he should be in again. If my maths are correct, 53 doubled, you know. But the problem is with that, he's going to be losing out at the end, isn't he?
I mean, it's going to depend. I mean, if he goes in at 106, he's going to have, by the time everyone else comes in, it could, unless he's really been, and see, it's going to depend on how he tries to push this stint. He might have come in on 52, which was a little earlier, obviously. Like, some guys were able to push it an extra 20 laps, a good chunk of people. So he might have come in and gone, okay, game plan for this, little shorter on the first stint, let's push a little longer on that second stint to kind of extend it, and then getting that third stint being a little bit shorter and trying to just really push them at that point. So it's going to be, it'll be definitely interesting to see what he decides to do. Because 106 should roughly be around when he's looking to come in, but it's all going to come down to sort of what he actually commits to doing.
I'm wondering if he's going to go, can he go 20 laps longer? That's going to be the question on tyres on lap 52. Is he going to try and go to the 70, which puts him up around about 126 though? Because that's a long old way on tyres that are quite a few laps old at that point, isn't it? It seems a bit bizarre, but if he goes in on 106, I suppose technically he can run to the end then.
And he might even try and just cut the difference there. Like, okay, 120, that's a little stretch. Let's go 112. So push a little further, but not too much, where you can at least still utilize a little bit of the tire and not lose, hopefully, too much space on the end of it, being able to kind of keep fighting forward.
Well, let's see how that one works out for Ben Harcom here, but we're on board with Dakota Floyd, who's got Ryan Traver in front of him currently at the moment in that Jack Daniels liveried car, of course. You see him there in the front. Now, obviously, clearly he's not lifting, where Sid was completely off the gas, clutching in. He's got a nice run out here. Travis just gone round on the outside, and Dakota Floyd is up into 7th place currently at the moment. Justin Bentley is your biggest mover currently of the day. Justin here up 11 places in that number 16 car currently at the moment. He is the biggest mover. He's done an absolutely stellar job to get it up 11 from 14, and seems to be running around rather well, I think, currently at the moment.
Yeah, he's keeping his head down, just kind of doing his own thing, getting through as he Persini looks like has come into pit as well. So I think Harcom is looking to kind of push his tires a little bit. This 107, like you're looking almost 30 laps on these tires, and we saw how much faster Herzog was on 20 lap newer tires. So you kind of have to think he's hoping he's able to push real fast and real early and open enough of a gap, but it's going to be a little tight being able to do so and not run a risk of losing out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing here for Harcom. He's got to make that choice. He's there in your picture now, the number 78 car with Al. Corey's just about to run round underneath him. Corey's on a 24.96. Harcom's on a 25.23 last time out. So it's going to be interesting to see here how far he can go. He's already 3 laps over what would prospectively be the double stint that we were talking about when we said about it. So you see, Holy Rollers, hot sauce. Nice livery. As well, Corey does run underneath. Hey, you know, you got props where credit due here. These guys have done a stellar job, haven't they? Some of the liveries look really nice.
Yeah, they do have a pretty good ones. I'm still waiting. I'm curious who pulls off the James face on the hood first here.
Oh yes, that's yeah, in the BSC, wasn't it? He was like, I've got a new livery this, Louis, and he's took the picture off my profile page and stuck it on his hood, which was quite amusing. Harkham has gone in on 111. Harkham in on 111. So he's going to be pushing for 34 laps here to see how he gets on and see where he comes out currently at the moment. The leader is going to be coming past him, which is Mark Herzog. It's whether or not he can stay in front of Perezzini. Perezzini's on the back stretch, of course. Harkham has not yet stopped. He's got to drive all the way around.
Yeah, it's weird. The pit lane here starts really early and pulls you to almost the full other side of the track. So it does get a little interesting trying to work your way through it there.
Okay, so now the fireworks are going to start really for Harkham. This is going to be his push moment, isn't he? He's got to be hammer time almost as he comes out the pits in 12th place. There in front of Ryan Travo, who's 8 seconds back. Oh, is he going to stay in front of Herzog? That's going to be the thing. For him, he needs to, doesn't he? From his point of view, he cannot let Herzog through, regardless of the situation. Obviously, you know, he's on lap 110. Herzog went in on 72. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. This is going to be a battle of the pit stops, I think, here, Ken. And if these aren't planned right, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, it definitely can cause kind of a little bit of an interesting decision to make as you're trying to fight your way through sort of the field here. And I mean, his tires are going to be now 30 laps newer than Herzog, so he should really be able to open a pretty solid gap pretty quickly. And I mean, he at this point, you can see he's going right down to the line. He's really going to start pushing, especially for the first couple of laps coming out of there, get them nice and warm and kind of create as much of a gap as you can between yourself and Herzog, and hope that he's able to kind of really create some space as he tries to track down Perezzini, who I'm assuming, hoping is going to have some tire issues later on with the, say, what is almost 10 lap newer tires. So he's hoping his can last just that little bit longer and he's able to reel everything in. But it's going to be very dependent on sort of these next couple laps and when Herzog and Bentley, Corey all decide to kind of come in and get a new set of tires.
Yeah, if they do at all, to be fair, because he didn't go until lap 72, so technically it should be lap 144 if you're going to double up their stints. Obviously, you know, in the light of things, we got Perezzini went in on lap 106, Harkham in on 4 laps later. Sorry, I'll get my teeth to work here. On number 110. So from that point of view, it's going to be interesting to see what Harkham can do. He's just Joshua Kona and Jason Benson are battling away behind him. They've not pitted, of course, currently at the moment. Benson on 6 lap younger tyres currently at this moment in time as well. So it's going to be interesting to see now from Harkham what he's going to be able to do. Can he push up to the back of Perezzini? That's going to be the issue. Is 4 laps going to make that difference? Do we think 4 laps is going to really make that difference?
It's hard to say necessarily. If it depends on how well Perezzini is able to kind of nurse his tires, I guess. Like if he's been really pushing them and stuff, then yeah, that 4 laps that's going to be massive. But if he's been sort of laying back and kind of letting the race come to him a little bit and not pushing himself too hard, he might be able to kind of minimize the difference between that kind of gap there of only a few laps. So. Yeah. That'll definitely be his hope.
Definitely will be as well. Benson in chat there, car number 42. We are actually on Jason Benson as you've jumped into chat. So there you go. And low IRL, Jason Sticky Fingers Benson. Well, he's on your screen, gentlemen or ladies. So you've jumped in at the right point here as we are following Jason Benson, currently chasing down Joshua Kona to see if he can get currently in front of him at this moment in time. I think from his point of view, he's going to be wanting to try. He is on tyres that are a little bit younger. So there we go, Dakota Floyd is in. He's going to be passed by Perezzini very, very shortly, as well as Harkham at the same time. So it'll be another gain of a position for Harkham here as well. I'm wondering if Harkham has just also suddenly played that master stroke where he went in that little bit earlier, goes in on the second stint a little bit longer later, and he can make them tyres last to the end. I think that's going to be the interesting thing.
Yeah, that might be the better way to have done it, but I'm very curious as to what Herzog ends up doing. If he's going to try and push these tires and just try and do a one-stop, like, he's going to be running on pretty much fumes by that point, and it's going to get a little hairy trying to get through there, and those tires are going to be gone by that point. Like 70-lap-old tires, like you're going to be kissing that wall a lot, and it's not ideal. Usually touching the wall means you go a little slower, so you're definitely going to want to avoid that, as we can see that spot right there that we've talked about, that little bumpy section that you want to kind of avoid going into in turn 1-2 area there. You don't want to hit it. It's kind of that in between turns 1 and 2. It can unsettle your car and kind of introduce you to the wall a little faster, but not ideal for sure.
Definitely not. Ryan Trevor just made that move past Jason Benson. Benson's down into 10th now. Perezzini here in the 24 car. Just looks like he's been in the 9. Kashian in the 19 has just been overtaken by Perezzini in the 24. So there he is, Matt Perezzini. So let's see how he gets on here as well. Herzog's still not in, mind you, and everybody past 4th place is 1 lap down. The guys in 4th is Adam Schoen, who's just about, no, not just about, he's got probably a whole corner away from going a lap down here, the number 79 car as well. So are we seeing Herzog push it for full time? Do you think he's going to one-stop it?
He's either got to go in real fast, or he needs to start putting a little more emphasis in, because I think Perezzini, like, he's unlapped himself.
Yep.
On those tires, and you can see Herzog his tires are screaming at him. As he gets turned, no, that's going to bring out a caution flag. Oh, that is not ideal if you're Herzog. I mean, now everyone's basically going to come in for tires.
I was just about to say, everybody should come in for tires, and if you're not, well, you're crazy. Get into the pits, get some new boots on, and go again. But let's have a look back and see what happened to Mark Herzog here. So who's the number 4 car on the outside? That's Joshua Kona. You see them coming round now. Did Herzog run up?
It looks like he just got a little bit loose. Obviously no malintent or anything with that. It's just an unfortunate timing, as he
comes off high though, doesn't he? He comes off low, it goes up high. Kona didn't really move out of that line.
Yeah, and Kona kind of came a little off the wall, though it is in the tri-oval section, so I could it's in a weird spot. It's not necessarily,
I think you're being nice.
He does come off the wall. I don't think it was on corner, as I think it was mostly on Herzog on that situation, but it's going to be one of those kind of hard to say for sure, like, oh, it's 1,000% on him. It's like, he could have stayed a little higher, but I think that's mostly going to be on Herzog.
Hold on a minute. How much higher did you want him to go?
He did come off the wall, but it is in the tri-oval, which is a little of an awkward spot. I do think that was on Herzog in the sense that, like, again, not in no malicious intent or anything, but it was just a little unfortunate, as he kind of came up high and Herzog was kind of trying to go down low.
Right. Let's see here as well, and we're going to have a chat with Al Corey under the caution currently at the moment. Al, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
How is the race going for you? It's all looking a little bit more tire based currently at the moment.
My hair is on fire.
Okay. Is there any? Was your VR got too hot or something?
It's just really tough to hang on to the car on these old tires, and unfortunately, I was in a great position there. I had fuel to the end, and one of the few that could, I think. And anyway, we're going to do a restart on some freshies now.
So we're thinking now it's going to be a straight sprint to the end, isn't it? 16 laps.
No doubt. It'll be all out here, and with fresh tires in the field, it could be pretty hairy.
Well, there we go. Well, yeah, I will say congratulations, though, to getting where you got to with the first caution. Not going to lie, that's impressive.
Well, thanks very much. We'll see if we can bring it home in a top 5.
Yeah, good luck there, bud, and we'll put you back in the room. Have fun. Everybody has got in, apart from John Campbell. Now, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's a mistake.
Yeah, especially on 70 to he last got his tires at 70 in the lap 72. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's.
It seems bizarre that he hasn't. I don't know.
Hey, maybe he knows something we don't. Like we like to say, there's a reason we're up here driving.
Well, I'm not up here driving.
Or I'm sorry, talking and not driving. Yeah, I'm driving and talking at the same.
Yeah,
real talent here.
Yeah, Kevin's in officials, everybody, at the same time while he's talking to me. So he's driving around in his own official here as well. But at the end of the day, John, I'm sorry, sir, but I think you may have made a little oopsie there. I'm not going to lie, because the likes of Harkham is tucked up behind you as well. We've got to wait for them all to spread out where they need to be, of course. But I think from John Campbell's point of view, he may have just done a boo-boo. There's going to be a lot of wave arounds, I would have thought.
There will be a couple of wave rounds. I'm curious if Harkham ends up getting himself able to unlap himself. The nice out there. Oh no, he's not. Ooh, that could be unfortunate because he is still a lap down too.
Surely he must have got a wave around.
It doesn't look like it, actually. And if you really know what you're doing, if you were Campbell there, knowing you're gonna get a wave around, you're gonna end up at the back. Yeah, I would have gone in. Well, everyone has to travel slow and snag a quick pit stop, get some quick tires on there, and hop back out and still be in pretty good spot. But
no,
it depends, I guess, where it puts them.
Yeah, well, 14 to go, and he still didn't go in. I'd have gone in. I was saving. Saving, says Joshua, as the lights are coming on once more. Justin Bentley has bolted already. It looks like he's made that move and he's currently out in front, and we are once again racing here for the last 13. I think Campbell's made a boo-boo. I've got to be honest. I think Campbell has made a boo-boo, but then again, what do I know? Here's Bentley's just pulled a master stroke and is gone already.
Yeah, he seems to be dropping off the back of this little pack here pretty quickly. Like, they've opened a pretty solid gap behind them. And he's getting... I don't think it's the greatest choice, but like you said, there's a reason we're up here talking and not driving. So
we are up here talking now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I decided to stop driving now.
Oh, okay, good. Well done. You're pulled out of your official. You're forfeited already. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bentley got a great jump there, and unfortunately, it looks like Herzog, he's got a significant amount of damage to that front part there, and that's going to really affect how his car kind of flows through here. So it's going to be able to kind of push his way, guys, he's not going to have the same aerodynamic, and it's going to slow him down just a little bit. Shouldn't be too significant, but he will sort of notice it, especially coming into these kind of corners here. The last 10 laps where you're really pushing.
Harkham's up high. Still that one lap down though, mind you. Herzog is battled in with Corey, number 45 there. We heard from Al during the caution. He said he's going to go for a top 5. He's sitting in 4th currently at the moment. I am surprised that Harkham didn't get that.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why. But, I mean, sometimes that's kind of the way ovals work. It's not always in your favor, unfortunately. Yeah, Corey's definitely going to have as unfortunately Herzog gets a little bit into the wall there, and that's going to slow him down and give Corey a little bit of an ability to get past him here. And without that front-end damage, it's going to probably play a little bit of a factor here, as Herzog probably didn't do too much to kind of repair that. So he might have a little bit of an issue now trying to stay in touch with Corey here.
Yeah, you can see it on the front there of his car. It looks like he has just run into a post, unfortunately, with that little indent off the front. As we say, it's not going to be doing him any favours. David Beat has gone into the pits and is back out again. I'm not entirely sure why that move would have been made and not under the caution, but there we go. As you say, there's another reason we are here. But Bentley at the moment is out in front, shown in second, Corey third, Herzog fourth, with Kashishian in fifth, Peruzzini sixth, Campbell, he's still running. He's still running, 25.02s. Everybody else is on a 23.24. So, and he is dropping back very, very quickly. Harcum's in the mid-pack, currently in 8th place. He's got to try and obviously get up past the leaders and go again. I don't think he's going to be able to succeed in that one.
Yeah, no, I think unfortunately that caution came out and kind of left him out to dry a little bit. Got him stuck in that one lap down there. As we see Herzog behind him go into the wall there a little bit. Yeah, Corey's kind of opened up a little bit of a space. Bentley has had a flying restart here as he's holding very strongly onto that front group there and kind of gotten himself into a good spot.
Well, with 4 to go, he's in a prime spot, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's having fantastic. I mean, it's going to be very dependent on if Sean is able to, or Schuen is able to get himself up with him or not. But I think it'll be interesting to say the least.
He's coming. He's coming. We can now nearly read what it says on the back of that car. He's taking them corners a little bit more quicker. Stayed low as well.
Yeah, looks like he's having an interesting time trying to get there.
Oh, is he going to get there? 2 to go. 2 to go. I don't know. I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to be close enough.
Oh, he got a little loose. Oh, he was able to save it. Oh, another caution here. Looks like the 6 of...
Kashishian.
Kashishian, yeah. Oh, he just got tied up with Herzog there. Yeah, it looked like Herzog that he got a little tangled with and unable to kind of keep it out of the wall.
Yeah, he just comes up. Oh, Herzog hit the wall. It's all going wrong for Mark Herzog at the end here. And unfortunately, Kashishian and Herzog, both of them making contact. Okay, come on. Who's going in?
Looks like Floyd, Herzog, Campbell, Kashishian. This
man
could work out a little bit.
Harcum's
going to get the wave around there, so he's going to get the lucky dog, it looks like.
His first one a lap down, of course.
We will have a green and white checkered, so that'll be... I think it said 1 of 2.
1, yeah.
1 of 1?
I believe it's 1 GWC. So it's definitely going to be an interesting end to this race. See how we go. Now, this is going to put everybody in a completely different position at the moment. Harcum's now in 5th. So we always blame Sid. JC comes in and starts walking them now. Well, we'll have to see. That one wasn't Sid. No, Herzog come off the wall. Herzog come off the wall on that one. So, yeah. I don't think Sid can be blamed for that one.
No, he went up expecting Herzog to kind of stay close to the wall there, and it looked like, yeah, Herzog made contact, got himself off the wall, and just unfortunate timing that they both made contact with each other.
Yeah, free to go. GWC on the cards.
Well, Herzog got the full wave around and was able to get up into the top group here.
Do you know the interesting thing about this, right? I am maybe I'm a little bit early on this, and this will happen sooner or later, but I am completely surprised they are not nose to tail.
If the lights are still on, you kind of want to leave a little bit of space just in case something happens where, you know, someone loses it, gets checked up, or things like that. You don't want to run the risk of someone driving into you or you driving into somebody and causing issues. And once they kind of get to more the 2 lanes instead of just single file, that's when you'll start seeing guys kind of close up, getting nice and tight. That way you're ready to go, basically.
Yeah. I would be getting ready to settle in. Getting ready. No, Sid gets first blame, so we boo him. Then Benson is terrible. Then it's my fault. Oh, it says low IRL. Who's my fault? What's your name? Because obviously, you know, YouTube does some wonderful things with nicknames, and we don't know who everybody is yet, do we? So there we go. Free to go. Lights are still on the pace car, so we've got a little bit of a moment. Going to be off this time around? Yep. 1 lap to go. Here we go. I would be nose to tail with a guy in front now.
Oh yeah, no, you're going to start seeing them close up pretty quick here.
All right. Who's going to get it? Kenan.
Without knowing all too much, I think Bentley's gonna have the best shot. He's gonna have that that kind of gap here that he's now, you know, the pace car sort of thing. I think he's gonna be able to utilize the jump as best he can. Especially if he's really able to utilize it, I think it'll give him a great kind of jump on everybody else, and he only has to hold it for 3 laps, so he should.
Well, we're going to
really
find
be
out.
able to get it.
We're going to find out as we go into the Geico Resource Zone for the final time this evening. GWC on the cards. Bentley's making the bolt. Shown in second. Perezzini in third. Corey in fourth. Kashishin in fifth there as well. Here we go. Stay tuned because it's not going to be long until we find out who's going to get this. And I got this funny feeling Bentley is going to get it. He's just bolted already. 2 to go. Let's see what happens this time around, but I got a funny feeling it is all going to be on Bentley here. Kenan, final lap of the race. What do you reckon?
I think he's going to be able to do it strictly because Schuhen has to deal with a lot of pressure behind him. He's got to fight that off, keep that blocked, but at the same time try and make up ground. So he's kind of in a rough spot, having to deal with it at both ends, at the front and the back and behind him. So he's just going to have to push, and whereas Bentley just goes.
Oh, get over the line! Oh, he did!
He does get it. Okay, good. He was able to hold on to P2.
Adam Schoen totally Tokyo drifted it across the line, but it was this man, Bentley, who took the victory here this evening at the end of the 145 laps. That was absolutely amazing.
It's one way to cross the finish line, right?
Mate, completely. If you're going to do it, you want to do it in pure dramatic fashion like this. Here he goes. Round he goes.
Oh, is he backwards going around? Oh, he did a full 360 to cross the finish line. Style points for sure. That's got to be at least an extra point or 2 on the official board.
Definitely. But it is your winner, Justin Bentley, here this evening as he's doing donuts now at the end of a 145 lap race. Justin Bentley gets it after pinning on 128. And there he is now doing donuts. Absolutely incredible. Great job from him. Well, you know, first time out Gen 4s. That wasn't actually, it didn't turn out to be a completely bad race. And yeah, cautions come out at the end, and unfortunately for Martin Herzog, he was involved in both of them. But, you know, overall, I think, you know, the racing was clean. We didn't hit the first caution till very late on in the race, Kenan. You know, to go that far was impressive.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and yeah, keeping it very clean. Gave a lot of space to each other as they were fighting for it, and I mean, it's just goes to prove, like, you're not going to win the race in the first stint. like you got a lot of work to go if you think you're going to win there. So it definitely was shown that they knew that, and they were able to kind of work their way out and get everything going. So
yeah, right. Let's bring in the top three. We'll start, of course, with the third place man here this evening. So let's bring in Matt Perezzini in to the booth. Matt, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
How are you, sir? That was a very impressive evening of racing.
Yeah, I hope I put a good show on you there for your first broadcast with us.
Yeah, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I always enjoy myself when the racing's on, to be fair. And when it comes down to a GWC, it's even more exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I was happy because I basically had committed to a 2-stop race because I knew I didn't have enough fuel, and thought we were going to be in really good shape there. And then that first caution come out, and I thought, well, maybe. And I mean, I'll happily take a third place finish. I think we had a second place car tonight. I think the 57 probably had the best car, but third, I'll happily take it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Matt Herzog, he was involved in both of the cautions there, Matt. So, unfortunately for him, it kind of threw him out at the end of the race. He was kind of absolutely dominating. From your point of view, though, you're going into a GWC. What's the mindset in the car, Matt? What are you thinking?
Well, I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast, but I probably drove it in deeper into turn one than I had all race, both those last 2 laps. I mean, I knew starting fourth, the only chance I had to try to pass anybody was to try to dive it in as hard as I could and get a good run off the outside so that the guys on the inside would be a little bit more bound up by the throttles because they couldn't get to it as quick. And it worked out. I mean, I got past Rafter, so that was good. And I don't know how I held off Sid, but that it was interesting coming to the line because I had it matted, and it was like either we're wrecking or it was checkers or wreckers at that point for me.
Well, you saw how Adam ended up going across the line. That was impressive in his own right.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. I thought, he's going to spin. I thought I might get second out of it, but I'll happily take a third. Real good race. I'm real happy. We had a decent showing tonight, and glad we were able to put on a good show for you.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you, Matt, for joining us. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, I'll just give out a shout out to my sponsor, Sean from Apex Designs. He's the one that came up with this rainbow paint scheme that everybody compliments me on every time they see it. So I love the car. Glad I could put on a good race for my sponsor tonight. And just my family, Johanna, my daughter, Leanne, my wife, letting me come out and race on Thursday nights. Appreciate that. And real happy for the whole league, and glad we could have a good turnout and all the racers. We've had some pretty good racing so far this league, so I'm pretty happy.
Well, I always say, Matt, it's always a good start to your evening when you thank the wife, because it means you could get to sleep in the bed and not on the sofa.
That's exactly right, sir.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. It's been a pleasure, and we'll look forward to speaking to you soon, no doubt.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks very much.
Take care. Right, I want to bring Adam in to the booth. Oh, he's not there. That's a bit of a shame. Well, let's bring in your winner this evening, Justin Bentley, into the booth. How are you, Justin? Welcome in.
Yeah, man, doing good. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, mate. Not bad at all. Okay, so let's break it down. First caution, you got an absolutely amazing jump, right? And fair play to you there, sir. You absolutely bolted out. Same plan going into the second caution, was it? Just to bolt as early as you could?
Yeah, that was a lot of it. I was actually hoping for it to go green. I had a much better long run car than I did on the short run. I was a little bit worried when that first caution came out, but it all worked out good. I had a great restart and set me up for the win.
Yeah, definitely did, mate. And to be honest, it was totally deserved. I'd like to point out as well, you gained 13 positions during this race. 13 positions, the highest gainer there out of everyone. You did an absolutely stellar job this evening.
Hey, I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't get no practice time in. I think I might have run a lap. Got home late. My truck broke down on the way home from work today. Got a late start, qualified awful, just learned throughout the race. And there on that first green flag stop when we pitted, I I felt like I had something for the car. I think I drove up to third during the green flag pit, so I was happy with it.
Yeah, I think overall, mate, to be honest, if I'd have gained 13 places and come from near the back and managed to take the victory, I'd be over the moon at the moment. I'd be jumping off my chair, spraying champagne like I've won it in real life, to be honest, because that was absolutely impressive, mate. It really, really was. Was there a philosophy going into the race? Did you sit back and think, I've got to do 2, I've got to do 3? What was the pit stop strategy going on in your head?
Yeah, I was trying to split it in half. I thought I had enough tires saved to just split it, just one stop. Honestly, if I could have made it, I was close. So that was the actual strategy coming in.
Well, nearly worked there, mate, if it weren't for the 2 cautions, of course. But, you know, as I say, probably the 2 cautions saved you, and you did manage to get an absolutely amazing jump, and it was really impressive here tonight as well. Anyone you want to give a shout-out to, Justin, before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank you for the broadcast here. It's nice to race, broadcasted race. Shout out to Al, all the guys here puts this league together. I've truly enjoyed racing with those guys for the last 6 months. It's been a blast. Shout out to my teammates, Zach Roethlisberger, Clay Cantrell, M&T Motorsports. We got something special. Ryan Hyatt. We're growing every day.
Awesome stuff there, buddy. Well, thanks so much for jumping in and talking to us, and we look forward to having a chat with you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. And you. Right, so there we go. I tell you what we will do is bring in Al Gorey back into the booth. Al was aiming for his top 5 finish after we last spoke to him. He managed to get the top 5 finish and had a front row seat for Adam Schoen crossing the line in a very unfortunate fashion there as well. Al, welcome into the booth, sir. How are you?
Oh, terrific. Thanks.
Well, you got your top 5 like you wanted to.
I did. I was between a rock and a hard place there. I was top 3. Do I stay out and keep track position, or do I go in and risk being back in the field? And as it turned out, I lost 2 positions to guys with fresh tires, and that's okay. Top 5's really good for me there, and fantastic race, great track, great car.
Yeah, absolutely. It was impressive as well. Al, you're obviously within the league itself, up in the structures of the league. Tell everybody at home, how would they join in with the league if they've sit back, seen the broadcast? What would they have to do to come and get yourselves involved?
Well, the best thing to do is check out the description in this video, and you'll see a link to our Discord invite. And hit that link. We've got racing on Sunday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights. So we're chock full of racing, lots of paved ovals, and even some road courses in there on Wednesday for the guys who like to turn left and right. So hit that link and come on in and join us. And we're a free league, but we're fairly new, but lots of guys with years and years of experience running leagues. So we know what we're doing, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Awesome stuff, Al. Well, thanks so much for joining us, buddy. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Just you guys. Can't tell you how happy we are to have you on board for the league's very first broadcast, and thank you very much, guys, for doing it.
Awesome stuff there, mate. Thank you so much for having us along for this epic evening of racing. Thoroughly enjoyed it there as well. But Al, we'll look forward to having a chat with you soon, no doubt.
Thanks again.
Take care. Well, there we go, Kenton. As well, I'm sorry, I've got to do it, right? I've got to do this with Adam. He went across the line in such an amazing fashion. This is how to end a race. If you're going to do it, you're going to go across the line in style. You might as well do it like Adam Schoen has just done here. And he has done it literally completely sideways and doing a 360 as he comes to the end. It is absolutely incredible. I do thoroughly enjoy it when things like this happen at the end of the race as well. We have got 1 lap remaining here, so we will see it very, very shortly, how he comes around at the final turn 4 and he pirouettes better than a ballet dancer, I would say, Kenton, on that one.
Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting way to go about it. But he managed to make it work and hold on to that spot and not lose out. So, I mean, good on him. Like I said, he kept his position, and you got to go for style points sometimes, and he definitely went for it. So.
I can see it tomorrow on the JPB YouTube channel of a YouTube short of Adam crossing the line with some nice ballet music in the background. as he goes across here as well. Here's the start of it. He snaps, corrects, snaps again, and Adam just goes across the line that way. Just so impressive. How he hung on to that place as well was even more impressive. So well done, Adam, there as well. Right, Kenneth, sum it up for us in a short sentence.
Fantastic driving, very clean, and a lot of fun to watch. A great group of guys that seem to drive very smooth and very fast, and they enjoyed not too many issues, which makes it even more fun.
Yeah, absolutely there as well. So, guys, that rounds out tonight's broadcast with myself, James Parfitt, and Kenneth Sportak in the booth here this evening, as we have just done round 3 live from Iowa for the Triple Bypass Racing League. As I say, get yourselves involved. All links are down in the description, guys. At the JPB links, my links, Kenneth links, all of them are down here for Instagram, Twitter, and of course the Triple Bypass Racing League link is down in the description as well. If you've seen it, you want to get involved, go down into the description, hit the Discord link, get yourselves involved, because as you've seen from here tonight, it's absolutely incredible evening of racing. So that is it, guys. That rounds out tonight's broadcast. Thank you to everybody that's joined me in chat as well. J2, Steve Benson, Dustin, Low IRL as well. Thank you so much for coming in. We did also have Jess Koenig popped in at the same time, as well as Laurie Harcum and Douglas Bramble. So thanks again, guys. And that is it from us up here in the booth. From myself and Kenneth Sportak, you all take care. Have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.